Welcome to the M.Phil in Race Ethnicity Conflict in Trinity College, Dublin. My name's David Landy, and what I'm going to be doing for the next 15 minutes or so is telling you about the M.Phil, telling you about what we teach, telling you about who we are, and telling you about the various components of the Master's Programme. And I'll also be telling you about the admission requirements and how to get into the programme. So firstly, I'm going to give a broad overview about what the M.Phil is. It's a one-year Masters in Trinity College, Dublin. And what we do is obviously examine the topics of race, ethnicity and conflict. Like yourselves, no doubt, I long for the day when these issues are no longer pertinent. But that day is very far from this world at the moment. In the last year, we've had numerous events, both in Ireland and internationally, that has raised the salience of the topics. We've had the huge Black Lives Matter protests, protesting against police brutality and structural racism, not just in the United States, but elsewhere in the world, including in Ireland. We have also had the gunning down of a young black man last month on the streets of Dublin. So these issues, and when we have had this, we've had people saying, no, this was not racially motivated and race was not an issue. So these issues are issues that face us, that face a lot of us every day. And what we want to do in the M.Phil is we want to examine the interrelationship between race, racialization, conflict, and also not simply how states and international agencies manage it, but also the impact that these issues have on the individuals involved. Now, we can say correctly that race impinges and helps structure our lives in various ways. And what we want to do in the Masters is to look at the kind of concept of race and ethnicity through a race-critical lens. That is, to understand these issues, these topics, as, hugely important ways our world is structured and our lives are structured, but at the same time not to assume that there's anything natural and normal about this kind of categorization of ourselves or the world, important though it may unfortunately be. So we want to examine these subjects not simply on a day-to-day level. We want to examine them more on a theoretical level. And so what we do in the Masters is that we try and in some ways step back from these issues of contemporary concern, race and conflict, to understand the theoretical reasons, the theoretical ideas that might make sense of them. So we look at race-critical ideas. We look at impact of, the intersectionality of gender and race. We look at the idea of conflict and peacekeeping, not in terms of how do we stop conflict, but what is conflict? What is post-conflict situations? And so what we do in our courses and what we do in all our courses is that we try and link the contemporary issues surrounding, race and ethnicity and conflict with each other, with a broader theoretical frame, and also with the lived experiences that we all have of these issues. If I want to be more specific about what we teach, what I'll do is next I'll go through the actual modules that we teach and explain a little bit more about how the course and how the program is structured. We have in the program a third of the program consists of 3 core taught modules, and these modules are taught in the first term. The first two are self-explanatory. Theories of race and ethnicity, where we kind of see the kind of general theoretical ideas behind and understandings of race and ethnicity and of conflict. And the third module is research methods, because what we're trying to do in the Masters is not simply teach you, the students, about race and ethnicity, about conflict and so on. We were trying to teach you how to research it yourselves, so that you can go on to future careers, perhaps in academia, perhaps in policy, perhaps in journalism, or in the third sector, all of which are careers which our students have gone on to. Now, these are the kind of core modules that every student has to do. Beyond that, students can pick 3 of our various optional modules. Now, the optional modules might change from year to year, but this year they are the following modules. First one is racism and resistance. And what this teaches is both racist and anti-racist social movements. We examine what social movements are and, how racist movements and anti-racist movements operate in the world today. We also look at statelessness and forced migration, again, unfortunately, a growing issue in the contemporary world. And we look at conflict zones. The conflict zone that we are looking at this year and next year will be Israel-Palestine, because this is a paradigmatic example of a zone of a conflict situation. The other modules include gender and race, the kind of central intersectionality between these concepts are examined, and issues of labour, migration and conflict. And the final module that we're teaching is questions of identity in Europe, where we talk about the issues of identity in terms, and looking at it in terms of sociological, political, psychological ideas of identity in Europe. So beyond the 3 core taught modules, you can pick 3 of these modules to take. Now, all modules aren't equal. I would say, without doubt, the most important module that we teach, a module that we teach over 2 terms, is the research methods. Because what we're trying to do is not just teach you advanced research methods in the social sciences, but also teach you how to do a dissertation. Now, many of you, most of you, I think, will have already done a dissertation at undergraduate levels. But even if you haven't done a dissertation, we take you through the process of how this actually operates. And we prepare you for doing your own work, which I think is probably, and in fact almost definitely, the most exciting part of our master's program, which is that you are supervised into producing your own piece of research. Now, the actual dissertation itself, you'll be guided by the lecturers about, what you can do ethically and realistically in the time that you have. But the actual dissertation yourself is basically whatever you're interested in. Now, I've put here some sample dissertation titles. Some titles which over the last few years some of our students have taken up to show the range, both geographical and theoretical and in terms of topic, that our students have done. We had an excellent dissertation on Black Lives Matter in South Carolina, where one of our students looked at local media reportage and said, well, actually, has Black Lives Matter affected the way that the local media in South Carolina did report police killings? The answer, unfortunately, wasn't no. The somewhat more hopefully, we had a student doing a wonderful dissertation on direct provision and seeing these direct provision centres that are dotted all over Ireland, which are direct provision for refugees, as not simply cases of institutionalized living, but seeing how they were reconstituted by the refugees and asylum seekers as also spaces of resistance. Other dissertation topics include a former police officer talking of their experience of racism, and a union organizer from the United States who came over and did a fascinating study on Dunnes Stores, which is a grocery shop in a grocery chain in Ireland. And there was a strike on at the time when he was here, and so what he was interested in seeing was how far do migrant workers participate in the actual strike. The answer actually was quite a lot. And final dissertation that I'm putting down here was somebody talking about what does belonging mean for Palestinians in post-conflict Beirut. And talking about it in terms of the aesthetics of how it's visualized and how it's understood. Now, I'm giving all these dissertation titles as simply an idea of the range and the breadth and the possibilities that are there for you if you choose to do the Masters. Talking a bit more about the Masters program, how it is taught is, well, this year it's been taught in a hybrid way, online and face-to-face. However, next year we strongly expect and we strongly hope that we'll be once more again face-to-face. We'll be teaching it in small classes. Classes are about 15 to 20 students. Majority of students are international, but there's also Irish students in the class. Beyond the classes, which are held, generally speaking, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, we also hold regular events which are expected and really encouraged to attend, because while you're in the department, while you're taking the Masters, you're a part of the Department of Sociology. And so we'd really encourage you to attend the various events that the department in general has, the seminars that we have, both in relation to race, ethnicity and conflict, and in relation to sociology more generally. The MPhil students, we found, have quite often form a very friendly cohort with each other, helping each other out in what is for many an unfamiliar though friendly environment. And after the MPhil, as I said, our students get involved in careers in academia. Some of our students go on to do PhDs, which of course we would encourage and help you with, are in policy formulation, working for NGOs, and working in a variety of other jobs. So that's a very brief overview of the program. How do you get in? What we expect from you is that you'd have a 2-1, which would be a GPA of at least 3.2, in a degree that doesn't need to be sociology, but that includes social science as a component. We also do accept people who have experience in the field, who have been involved in perhaps youth work, in perhaps NGO work, and in the field of race and conflict. So if you have experience in the field, please do contact us in relation to this. What's crucial is not simply your degree and the references, but what's crucial is the statement of interest. What we're really interested in is we want to know why you want to do the MPhil yourself. And so this is of actually a lot of importance. The deadline for applications is the 30th of June, and we operate on a first come, first served basis. So I'm not saying that you should all immediately rush to fill out your application forms, but as I say, it's first come, first served. So That's all I have to say about the MPhil. If you have any more questions, you can contact me on the Trinity College website, or you can go to the Academic Registry website. Thanks for your attention, and goodbye.